Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very exciting review because it's on one of my favorite pieces of equipment that I've ever had the opportunity to use, and that is the Mike Bartos Power Center DeadSled. The DeadSled isn't like any other piece of equipment that I think I've ever really used because it does so many things and it does them so well. So what is the DeadSled? Well, the DeadSled is the DeadSled. That just kind of is what it is. But essentially what you have is a frame. It has 4 posts, each of which accommodate 2-inch Olympic size plates, so just like your standard run-of-the-mill plate that you find in almost every gym. It is a total of 52 inches wide. It is 31 inches from the front to the back. Those dimensions are taken from the edge of the skis as well. So it's 51 inches from this ski to the edge of the opposite ski and 31 inches from this edge to this edge. You'll notice that doesn't actually account for any of really the upper deck portion of the frame at all, because the feet actually sit wider than everything else. It has 2 different handles. This is actually one of the really cool pieces about this, is it has 2 separate handles, each of which rotate freely, and you get 2 options. Basically you have what I'm guessing is some sort of like 1.9 inch or 2 inch bar stock or hollow tube or something along those lines, and then you have 1 1/4 inch handles on this side. So the 2 inch handles are right about 48 millimeters or so, so they're not quite 2 inches, but they are pretty close. And the 1 1/4 inch ones are right at about 32 millimeters. So this is bigger than your standard barbell, but also small enough that if your grip wears out on these larger ones, you can just flip it over. And you can do that in the middle of the set as long as you let go of it. Just flip it over, grab the smaller handles, and lift away. The handles themselves are about 6 1/8 inch from front to back, so it's going to accommodate people with pretty large hands. I don't think I've ever met anybody that can't use this piece of equipment because their hands are too big. One of the other really cool features is it has 11 adjustable heights, ranging all the way from 12 inches at the very bottom, and that is measured to the bottom of the upper handle. So it's going to be a little bit different for the 2 inch versus the 1 1/4, but essentially the bottom hole, the bottom setting for this implement, which I'll show you guys how to adjust in just a second, is right about 12 inches, and then the very top is right at about 22 inches. It's 1 inch hole spacing on center. It's super easy to adjust, especially if you've ever had to like manipulate a yoke. This thing is way easier to change heights on than a yoke. It's actually kind of awesome. It takes a 5/8 inch hitch pin, and he kept it simple for this, just did a standard 5/8 inch hitch pin, no fancy handles here. Really, you don't need it. This works just fine, no complaints with that either. The rest of the sled is made out of, it's like 2.5 inch square tubing pretty much all the way around. I think this is 2 inch square right here, but everything else around is about 2.5 inch material. It has a nice textured powder coat to it, and it also has this prowler handle attachment that I've been leaning on the entire time that slips in and out. On the website, this actually pins in. Mine doesn't have a hole or a pin, so I don't know if that's an update to the piece of kit or if this is the update. I'm not sure how that works, but with each prowler handle you get plenty of space to get whatever adjustment that you want. So if you want to push on this thing wide or narrow, you have 2 different height adjustments here. One of the cool things about that is you almost have like, so if there's 11 adjustment holes ranging from 12 to 22 inches, that means that you have like 22 math. You have 22 different options for prowler handle height. Now obviously you probably want to get it pretty low, but just kind of a cool option there. Just a quick note on the prowler handle though, if you're going to use this thing to do like a frame deadlift, you do have to move it out of the way because it does weigh a significant amount extra, and if you pick this thing up without removing the handle, it does tend to tip backwards. I'll show you guys what that looks like real quick. But it's really easy to fix that. All you have to do is just remove the prowler handle, and it comes right up, no issues at all. It also has, so I'm actually gonna take this back out. It also has 4 of these kind of chain eyelet pieces. You can see there's 2 on the front and there's 2 on the back. These can be used for a couple different things. You can use them to do like a chain pull. So if you'd like, you can set up 2 chains and they come to a single point, and you can use this thing to pull with handles. You can do an arm over arm using rope, or another option suggested on the Mike Bartos website is to put chains in here so you can use like accommodating resistance while you're doing dead sled deadlifts. Kind of a cool feature. Everything is like super overbuilt on this thing too. It just feels and looks solid. You could even set up, like if you really wanted to, you could have like 2 ropes, someone doing arm over arm pull and having like a tug of war with this thing. So I ended up weighing this. I'll show you guys a quick video of me actually weighing this implement. The website claims that this thing weighs 150 pounds, and it's pretty close. It's right at 147 for this particular one. That does not include this. With this, it's about 20 to 30 pounds heavier. How do you use it? Well, you deadlift it, you frame carry it, you do shrugs with it, you do static holds with it, you do step ups with it. Pretty much anything you can do with a trap bar, you can do with this thing. Anything that you can do with a rickshaw, you can do with this thing. Anything that you want to do with a sled, you can also do it with this thing. It does everything, and it does it well, which is pretty rare when you think about it, because a lot of pieces of equipment out there are made to do multiple different jobs. They kind of don't do any of them really well. This one does. Real quick, let's talk about the cons of this thing. First and foremost, shipping. Holy smokes. Now it's freight, right? This thing's gonna go freight, and freight just costs a little bit extra money. It takes a little bit extra time. It's a large piece of equipment though. It's not really a negative on the equipment itself. It's just something that you need to consider. We'll actually talk about the cost a little bit later. The second is just, and this is just me being kind of a stickler. This is just me. I want to use this thing because of how much it costs for as many things as possible. If we lower this thing all the way down, so if we lower this thing all the way down, the handle is now at a 12-inch pick height. 12 inches is pretty low, but it's still not as low as a standard barbell. So like if you were to go out and buy an open-ended trap bar or any trap bar and load plates on the end, the handle would sit at about 8.875 inches is standard Olympic size height. I don't even know if it's possible, but if this thing could go lower, I think it would benefit it. But if you look at the design of the handle, and if you look at the design of the frame itself, and it has removable feet, which is beneficial, especially if you own a big gym and there's going to be a lot of people using this thing. I mean, I feel like eventually you'll probably wear through those, and you don't want wearing out your feet to be what causes your sled to need to be completely replaced. You want to just replace the foot. So it's kind of a con, but not really. So if you're buying this thing to take the place of a trap bar, just make sure that you're aware that you're only going to be able to go down to about 12 inches in its standard configuration. Even if you were to drop it down and maybe just put a single handle right here by removing the bolt that holds this handle in, it's still only going to be 2 inches less, so you're only going to be pulling at 10 inches. So again, it gets close, and it's really kind of split in hairs. But if you were looking to replace a trap bar with this thing, just make sure that you understand that you're going to be pulling 12 inches instead of 8.875. Another sort of con, but not really. So if you're someone that owns a gym and you go work out in your gym and you don't like things to rust, but you're also not really willing to do the maintenance, these bare steel handles may not be really the best for you. I did reach out to Mike at NB Power Center, and he said that if a customer requests it, they can put a coating on these handles, but he also said that most people prefer the feel of raw steel. He actually media blasts these things. I'm not sure if it's before or after he fabricates them all together, but I can tell you right now they feel great. I love them. I personally would not want them coated. I think the bare steel feels and looks really good. It's also going to pick up, you know, that beautiful patina that it normally does if you take care of your equipment. If If you don't, it's gonna pick up that rust look. If you message him when you order these things, you can just have the handle fully coated, and then you never really have to worry about it. There's also the potential for some storage issues. It is a large item. Like I said earlier in the video, it's like 50 some inches wide, 30 some inches long. It takes up a lot of space, so if you're working in a garage gym, like I'm in right now, you might have a difficult time storing this. The way I've been storing this, when I need it off the platform and out of the way, but I don't want to just pick it up and carry it outside, is I just kind of take it apart. And I'll just tuck this up against the wall. I'll put the feet up next to each other, flip this up like so, and then it takes up a significantly less amount of space. It still is kind of big, but just as a note, like, it is rather large, and when you have it taken apart, this piece is a little bit awkward. It's not bad, it's just a little bit awkward. But just one of the cons, if you're in a garage gym especially, might be that you'll have a difficult time storing it. So now I'm going to put this thing back together real quick. Just a quick note on when you're actually putting this thing together is to pay attention, because the top of the front plate posts are actually indicated with a small F that's stamped into the top. I'll show you a close-up real quick, but those have to go towards the front, and that just has to do with the weight distribution of the open-ended frame itself. This thing does balance out really nicely, but it only does so if you have the F in the front. Let's talk about some of the pros. It's aesthetically badass. Just look at this thing. The multi-functionality of this thing is insane. So if you want to do like reverse lunges, forward lunges, if you want to do walks, if you want to do whatever, like, you can do whatever. And let's not forget, it's also still a sled. So you can do all the sled stuff with it. You can do arm over arm, you can do sled pushes, sled pulls, throw a chain on it, do like a double-handed chain pull using, you know, whatever goofy looking implement you want to grab a hold of. It is like super overbuilt as well. Solid construction, beautiful welds everywhere. There's no burrs that are going to catch you, or at least I haven't found any, but everything is super well done. This vinyl that says DeadSled back here has been back here. This thing is not new. This thing has probably been used for over a year now. Hasn't worn off, it's still there, it looks good, the black on white. I have the textured powder coat, I don't have any of the gloss powder coats, and it's still adhering nicely, looks nicely, wearing nicely. You can see where the plates end up getting on the frame itself, but it's not actually really wearing out. Even the bottom of the feet, when it gets used for sled pulls and pushes, are barely showing any signs of wear. So like normal, just signs of wear, nothing too intense. So what does it cost? Well, this is kind of where it hurts the most. So it costs $975 as configured with the prowler handle. If you order without the prowler handle, I think it drops down to like $940 or $935 or somewhere right around there. And then you got to pay the freight shipping fee, which is $169 for a grand total of $1,140.40. Of course, that shipping is from Ohio to me in Texas. So wherever you live, the shipping might be a little bit different. The MB Power Center website actually has a very accurate scheduling tool for their shipping. So is it worth it? Well, if you have $1,000 laying around and you can spend it on something, I think, yeah, I mean, this is a super awesome piece of kit. But for your average garage gym person that's just doing CrossFit, probably not for you. Like, it really probably isn't for you. I think it's still worth it, like if you wanted an awesome tool in your arsenal. But at that price point, I just really can't see it being worth it for the average person. Now, if you are a strongman, 100% worth it. This thing will work your grip like none other. It'll do all sorts of amazing things for strongman. Not to mention that this implement, not this particular one, but this design of implement has been used at the Arnold Amateur. I've seen it used there. I've seen it used in other competitions throughout the United States. I'm sure it's going to get some international attention as MB Power Center kind of starts to gain that kind of traction. So really, what is my bottom line recommendation? It is worth $1,000, 100%. You can find things that cost $1,000 that are not near as well built as this. MB Power Center always does a good job capping off open tubes, keeping things nice and closed, doing a nice quality lifetime piece of equipment. So is it worth it from that regard? Absolutely. It comes down to your personal choice. You know, can you justify $1,000 for something? That's the end of my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below. Do you agree, disagree? Do you think I have good points? Do you think it's worth the money? Do you think it's worth over $1,000 if you include shipping? Tell me what you think down below. Also, I appreciate each and every single one of you that tune in and watch these videos. If you could, go ahead and like, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell, you get a notification, and go ahead and watch some of the other videos that I've put out in the past. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.